Her promises had always been kept. More than once, Rebecca had been told she took after her mother's older sister. She was 24, but she had been, as solid and sturdy as her maiden aunt. 2 months into retirement, 2 months after dear Aunt Jeanie began to make plans to travel, to enjoy the rewards she'd worked so hard to earn, she was gone. After Rebecca's grief had come the anger, then the frustration, then slowly the realization that she was traveling the same straight road. She worked, she slept, she fixed well-balanced meals that she ate alone. She had a small circle of friends who knew she could be counted on in a crisis. Rebecca would always find the best and most practical answer. Rebecca would never drop her own problems in your lap, because she didn't have any. Rebecca, bless her, was a port in any storm. She hated it, and she'd begun to hate herself. She had to do something, and she was doing it. It wasn't running away as much as it was breaking free. All her life she'd done what was expected of her and tried to make as few waves as possible while doing it. All through school, a crushing shyness had kept her more comfortable with her books than with other teenagers. In college, a need to succeed and justify her aunt's faith had locked her tightly into her studies. She had always been good with figures. Logical, thorough, patient. It had been easy, perhaps too easy, to pour herself into that one area, because there, and really only there, had she felt confident. Now she was going to discover Rebecca Malone. In the weeks or months of freedom she had, she wanted to learn everything there was to know about the woman within. Perhaps there wasn't a butterfly inside the cocoon she'd wrapped herself in so comfortably, but whatever she found, whoever she found, Rebecca hoped she would enjoy her, like her, perhaps even respect her. When the money ran out, she'd get another job and go back to being plain, practical Rebecca. Until that time, she was rich, rootless, and ready for surprises. She was also hungry. Stephen saw her the moment she entered the restaurant. It wasn't that she was particularly striking. Beautiful women passed through the world every day, and they usually warranted a glance. But there was something about the way this one walked, as if she were ready for anything, even looking forward to it. He stopped, and because business was slow at this hour, he took a second, longer look. She was tall for a woman, and more angular than slender. Her skin was pale, and that made him think she had only just arrived at the resort or was shy of the sun. The white sundress that left her shoulders and back bare accented the lack of color and gave dramatic contrast to her short cap of raven hair. She paused, then seemed to take a deep breath. Stephen could almost hear her satisfied sigh. Then she smiled at the head waiter and followed him to her table, tossing her head back, so that her hair, which she wore arrow straight, swung away from her chin. A nice face, Stephen concluded. Bright, intelligent, eager, especially the eyes. They were pale and almost translucent gray. But there was nothing pale in their expression. She smiled at the waiter again, then laughed and looked around the restaurant. She looked as if she'd never been happier in her life. She saw him. When Rebecca's gaze first skimmed over the man leaning against the bar, her automatic shyness kicked in and had her looking away. Attractive men had stared at her before, though it wasn't exactly a daily event. She'd never been able to handle it with the aplomb or even cynicism of most of her contemporaries. To cover her momentary embarrassment, she lifted her menu. He hadn't meant to linger more than a few moments longer. But the impulse came suddenly. Stephen flicked a hand at the waiter and had him scurrying over, nodding quickly at Stephen's murmured request and hurrying off. When he returned, it was to deliver a bottle of champagne to Rebecca's table. Compliments of Mr. Nickodemus. Oh.